Welcome back. I'm Siddharth Talia.
A very good morning and welcome. My name is Amita Vadva. Top of the hour, we'll get you a story that has been contentious with a lot of controversy that's surrounding it, but the government has made its now stand clear. This is regarding the Uniform Civil Code. Now, Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju on the floor of the House on Tuesday has said that the government subscribes to the BJP's demand for the promulgation of the Uniform Civil Code. Now, he was answering to those questions asked by BJP's leader, who had pointed out that several states, including Uttarakhand, are on their way to implement the Uniform Civil Code.
And several questions had, of course, been asked of the Law Minister about several states, in fact, deciding to promulgate the UCC, to which Mr. Rijiju said that the Uniform Civil Code is very much a manifesto promise of the BJP, and that is also the Government of India's stand. However, in February this year, when specifically responding to a question asked about him with the specific timeline of when the UCC will actually be brought in, he made 2 points. One, of course, is the fact that the matter is still sub judice and the Supreme Court is deliberating on this, and secondly, he also said that the next law commission that will now take over will also be deliberating and making recommendations with regards to the Uniform Civil Code. So this is something that will in fact continue as far as the discourse in Parliament is concerned over the timeline with respect to the UCC. Let me go across to Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan for more on this. Madhav, good morning. Now, a specific question had been asked to Mr. Rijiju about the UCC by Mr. Nishikant Dubey. He's also brought this question up in the past as well during the winter session of Parliament last year. The government's view is that it's pretty much committed to bringing in a UCC, but no specifics so far just as yet with regards to the timelines.
Well, absolutely, because it's a very vexed issue. Not only does it have issues relating to those of different religions, but also those from different castes, those from tribal communities whose customs would have to be assimilated once it does become a law. So the government does have to tread very cautiously. We have seen the Law Commission examine this issue and give its recommendations to the government, and also, of course, had asked a wider consultation. So it is very much on the anvil as far as the government is concerned, but in terms of taking actual action, bringing it in the form of a legislation is something that could be very challenging. Of course, when the family bill came in before the Lok Sabha yesterday, during the course of the discussion, we had seen Kiren Rijiju actually reply on this, and his comment saying that he believes that the BJP's commitment is something that should be the nation's thought process as well, evoked some very strong responses from opposition parties. So we will try and get you more reactions from those opposition parties as well through the course of the day today, but very, very significant statement that has been made by Kiren Rijiju, and of course the political controversy of this yet to blow over yet.
Right. Let me also introduce our guest joining us here on the panel. Good morning to you, Mr. Binay Singh, who is a political analyst, and also Mr. Ravi Srivastava, political analyst, joining here on the broadcast. Mr. Binay Singh, I want to know, what is your point of view? Is this a critical inflection point, not just for the BJP, but also for the union government? Because in a way, saying that whatever the BJP is standing for, the centre is also committed to the same.
Achha, there is no surprise to it. Look, BJP as a party always stands for nationalism. It claims that it is a nationalist party. And the other parties, they claim that they are secular ones. But again, what is the definition of secularism? Is that in sync with what is mentioned in the constitution? No. Secularism as of today can be defined as negation to nationalism. But it would have been a doctrine of balance between different communities. But secularism is not secularism. It has become negation to nationalism. And the opposition has become opposition to the country. All the laws, all the reforms, those who are pro-country, they all are opposed by the opposition. So opposition has a responsibility to play. They have a role to play. They have a responsibility to deliver. And there is no surprise when BJP says that it's a nationalist party. And again, the last thing. When it comes to Uniform Civil Code, the idea of Uniform Civil Code is in sync with the idea of democracy. The present...
Right, Mr. Binay Singh, let me just interrupt you there. We have in fact, the exact bite and the discourse between Mr. Rijiju as well as Mr. Dubey on the floor of the House. So let's listen to what the Law Minister actually said.
ये आपको मालूम है हमारा सरकार का सोच क्या है, इसलिए हम चाहते हैं कि हमारा जो सोच है, हमारा पार्टी का आइडियोलॉजी है, वो देश का ही आइडियोलॉजी समझिए। हम जो सोचते हैं भारत देश के लिए नो कोई ये आई एम प्राउड ऑफ दैट। नो प्लीज कंक्लूड।
Please, Minister,
पार्टी से तो सरकार बनते हैं. I am proud.
Right. We have a response coming in now from the NCP as well. Mr. Majid Memon joining us on the broadcast for his response. Mr. Memon, Kiren Rijiju, the law minister, has said that the BJP's ideology as far as the Uniform Civil Code is concerned is also the government's ideology, that they would in fact be committed to bringing in a UCC at some point in time. What's your response to what he said?
You see, we must understand the distinction between ideology of a political party and ideology of the government. And in fact, this Modi government has in past very often when trouble started, erupting, they have said that, well, that may be the ideology of RSS and BJP, but it is not the ideology of the government, because the government has to protect itself from the criticism, both from the opposition as well as from the people. So therefore, the government has to trade carefully to see that they don't do anything which is not approved by the people or by the opposition. And now in case of Uniform Civil Code, it's a very complex issue, and it may be, as rightly pointed out, that it is the BJP's ideology or RSS ideology. But in the House, the government or the law minister must make it clear that this is not the government ideology. The government would act under the Constitution and would not be swayed by the emotional ideology. No, but he pretty much is saying that this is also the government ideology and putting rather a stamp exactly what the BJP has to say, because in multiple states they're already promulgating a law. In fact, when it comes to Uttarakhand, the Chief Minister had promised to the people saying that vote us for UCC and it will be brought in force by our party if we are voted to power, and that is exactly what is happening there now. Mr. Memon, thank you very much for joining us here on the broadcast. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia is also with us on the phone line. Sir, good morning to you. When it comes to Article 44 of the Constitution, sir, why is that the opposition party seems to differing of what's already mentioned in the Constitution?
The Uniform Civil Code is the mandate of the Constitution. The Constitution framers have introduced the provision because they wanted a uniform law for every person, every citizen of the country. And as the law minister has stated, it is a philosophy that the Bharatiya Janata Party believes in. The sad part is that amongst the opposition, these people like to implement, read and adopt the Constitution selectively. Portions that suit them, the right to a religious minority is good, but Uniform Civil Code is not. Article 370, if I may say so, had the word temporary, but it was never abrogated till Narendra Modi ji decided to take the historic decision. So this shows their lack of faith in the Constitution as it exists, and they should not read the Constitution in a piecemeal manner.
And Mr. Bhatia, one more question. Now, of course, nobody is denying the fact that Article 44 of the Constitution is very much there. It's part of the directive principles. But what's really stopping the government of India from putting a timeline or even coming out with a draft UCC for deliberations that can go forward? Because it appears that the government is playing a waiting game on this, sir.
No, absolutely incorrect. You would recall, with utmost respect, that the Law Commission had undertaken a study, a report was submitted, and there are certain recommendations that have been made by the Law Commission. The spirit of implementing the Uniform Civil Code is that it should be a cause that would serve the people of the country. It should be a very well deliberated move, and that is the way the government should move and ought to move.
All right, Mr. Bhatia, thank you very much for your point of view there.